You spend your whole life talking to someone who never shuts up? That voice in your head, chattering about every damn thing, narrating your existence like you need a play-by-play of reality. Ever stop to wonder who's doing all that talking? And more important, who's listening? Here's the thing. That voice isn't you. You're the one hearing it. There's a consciousness behind all that mental noise, watching your thoughts parade by like travelers on a dusty road. The real you sits back there, aware of everything, the thoughts, the feelings, the world streaming in through your senses, but separate from it all. You're the witness, not the show. Most people spend their lives hypnotized by that inner roommate, that neurotic character who has an opinion about everything and changes its mind every 5 minutes. It tells you what's wrong with the weather, what you should worry about tomorrow, why you're upset about what happened yesterday, and you listen like it's the voice of God when really it's just noise, trying to control an uncontrollable world by narrating it into submission. The problem starts when you think solving your problems means rearranging things outside yourself. Get a new job, find a new relationship, move to a new city. But the real problem isn't out there. It's that part of you that has problems with everything. Until you deal with that, you're just moving furniture around a burning house. So ask yourself the deepest question there is: who am I? Not your name, not your history, not the story you tell at parties. Strip all that away: the body that changes, the emotions that come and go, the thoughts that rise and fall like waves. What's left? Pure awareness, consciousness itself. That unchanging presence that's been watching this whole carnival since you were a child. You've always been there, behind it all. The real spiritual journey isn't about collecting experiences or beliefs. It's about stepping back into that seat of awareness and watching the storm of your mind without getting swept away. That's freedom. Not controlling the voice, but realizing you're not the voice. You're the vast, quiet space in which it all unfolds. That's where you live. That's who you are. Everything else is just weather passing through. You ever catch yourself mid-thought and wonder, who's watching? Not the voice nattering on about your grocery list or that thing you said 5 years ago, but the one hearing all of it. That's the trick most people miss. You're not the noise, you're the silence underneath. See, consciousness is this strange instrument that can focus itself anywhere. Gets lost in the movie of thoughts, feelings, the whole sensory carnival, until you forget you're sitting in the theater at all. We're walking around hypnotized by our own mental programming, every sight and sound perfectly synchronized to pull us under. You think you're living your life, but really you're just absorbed in it. No different than someone who's forgotten they're dreaming. The real spiritual work isn't about changing what's on the screen. It's about remembering you're the one watching, stepping back into that seat of pure awareness where you've always been, where everything rises and falls like weather while you remain unchanged. That's the lucid self, conscious that it's conscious, awake inside the dream. Now here's where it gets interesting. You've got this wellspring of energy inside you that has nothing to do with food or sleep. It's always there, ready to pour through you, except most of the time you've got the valve closed. Every time something bothers you, every time you resist an experience, you're literally shutting down the flow. That tightness in your chest when someone disappoints you, that's you closing your heart center, blocking the energy that wants to feed and sustain you. The whole game is learning to stay open. Life comes at you, experiences, feelings, memories, and instead of clenching up, you let them pass through like trees going by on a highway. The ones that stick, that get stored away as unfinished business, they're the ones that run your life from the shadows. They cycle around inside you waiting to be triggered, keeping your heart crusted over. But you can let them go. When old pain surfaces, don't shove it back down, let it release. Every time you choose openness over protection, you're clearing the way for that infinite energy to move through you unobstructed. That's what the great teachers meant. Live from that vast, quiet center and let everything else be just weather passing through. You spend your whole life dodging, ducking away from the small pricks and stings that touch what's tender inside you. Someone says the wrong thing, and there it is. That tightness in the chest, that closing down. You feel it happening. That old familiar retreat inward. Building walls where there ought to be windows. See, we've got this backwards notion that protection equals survival. Something hurts, so we armor up. We arrange our whole lives like furniture around the wound. Careful where we step, who we let close, what subjects we'll allow at dinner. We think we're solving the problem, but we're just building a museum around it, preserving it perfectly while calling it freedom. The thorn's still there, always has been. That loneliness, that fear, that old rejection from years back. It's lodged right against the nerve, and every time life brushes up against it, we flinch and reorganize our entire existence to make sure it never happens again. We marry people to stop feeling lonely. We avoid whole rooms because they might remind us of something. We turn ourselves into these elaborate contraptions of avoidance, wheeling through life, convinced we've mastered our pain because we've learned to live around it. But here's what they don't tell you: the thorn can come out. Not through more protection, more control, more careful arrangement of circumstances, through surrender. Through sitting still in the seat of awareness and watching the pain move through you like weather. You're not the loneliness. You're not the fear. You're the one noticing it all. The consciousness behind the curtain, watching the show. When that disturbance rises, and it will rise, you've got one choice that matters. Let go right then, in that moment, or spend the next hour, day, or year tangled in its web. The energy wants to move through you, wants to release, but you keep shoving it down or running from it, and so it stays, calcifies, becomes the cornerstone of everything you build. Real freedom isn't managing your thorns better. It's pulling them out and discovering that what rushes in to fill that space isn't emptiness. It's energy, vast and sustaining, flowing up from somewhere deeper than your wounds ever reached. That's the seat of self. That's home. Everything else is just weather passing through. You spend your whole existence trying to solve the wrong problem. Every morning you wake up and the mind starts its endless strategizing. How to arrange the world just so. How to keep people thinking the right things about you. How to avoid that hollow ache that lives somewhere beneath your ribs. And you think, if you could just get the promotion, find the right person, move to the better place, then finally you'd be free. But that's the con. You're trying to fix the outside when the whole mess is happening inside. See, deep in your chest, there's this ancient pain, rejection, loneliness, fear of not being enough, and your entire personality is just an elaborate system built to avoid feeling it. Every relationship you pursue, every achievement you chase, every way you present yourself to the world, it's all in service of not touching that tender spot. You've made your psyche into a full-time job, constantly monitoring threats, running scenarios, building walls of thoughts and emotions so thick that no light gets through. Here's what nobody tells you: the pain can actually leave, not by rearranging your circumstances or finding better people or thinking more positive thoughts. It leaves by letting it pass through you instead of closing around it. When that disturbance rises, and it will rise, you've got one move that matters. Relax. Stay open. Let the energy burn through and release, because every time you clench down and protect yourself, you're just storing it deeper, making the walls thicker, sealing yourself further into the dark house you built. You're not the voice chattering away about all your problems. You're the awareness behind it, the consciousness that's been watching this whole carnival since you were young. That's the seat of self, that quiet space where everything arises and falls away like weather. Boys, the spiritual work isn't about fixing your thoughts or managing your emotions better. It's about stepping back into that witness position and letting life dismantle the fortress you've been defending. Those walls you built, they're blocking infinite light. Every time life bumps against them and you don't defend, a piece crumbles. Every time you relax instead of close, the pain passes and doesn't come back. Real freedom is just on the other side of your own defenses. Stop trying to create light inside your dark house. Walk outside into what's already shining. You keep bumping into the edges of your little world, don't you? Every boundary you've drawn around what's acceptable, what's safe, what you can handle, they're just invisible wires you've buried in the ground. Step too close and you feel that shock, that tightness, that ancient panic saying, turn back, turn back. But here's the thing nobody wants to hear. Those edges aren't real. They're just the bars of a cage you've been decorating your whole life, calling it home. Beyond means exactly what it sounds like, going past where you are now. Not tomorrow, not after you've figured it all out, but right now, in this moment, when something makes you uncomfortable. Every time you hit that edge and pull back, you're choosing the cage. Every time you relax and keep walking, you're choosing infinity. Because that's what's actually out there. Not danger, not destruction, just endless open space that your mind has been too frightened to acknowledge. See, you've spent years building this elaborate structure of thoughts and beliefs, clinging to them like driftwood in the ocean, calling it identity. You think you're a woman or a man, this age, these opinions, these wounds. But you're not any of that. You're the one watching it all parade by. The moment you realize you're the witness instead of the show, the whole game changes. Your comfort zone isn't protecting you, it's imprisoning you. That tightness you feel when someone disappoints you or something doesn't go your way, that's just you shutting down the flow of energy that wants to feed and sustain you. The spiritual path isn't about controlling the world until it stops hurting you. It's about staying open when it does hurt, letting the disturbance pass through like weather instead of building monuments to it. So here's your one real choice. Do you want to be happy, period? Or do you want to be happy only when conditions permit? Because if you're waiting for the right circumstances, you're already lost. Happiness isn't a reward for getting life right. It's what remains when you stop closing your heart against what is. The infinite is just on the other side of your own defenses, waiting for you to stop defending. That's where you've always been headed. Everything else is just the long way home. You walk around bracing yourself, don't you? Every little disruption sends you scrambling, building walls, plotting responses, rehearsing conversations that'll never happen. Someone cuts you off in traffic, and there goes your morning. An old memory surfaces and suddenly you're 17 again, nursing the same wound. You think you're protecting yourself, but you're just carrying around a museum of old pain, polishing the exhibits daily. Here's what nobody tells you. Resistance is the problem, not the events themselves, your fight against them. Life's just this endless flow of moments, atoms moving through time, and you're standing there with your arms out trying to dam the river. Every time you clench up, every time you say, this shouldn't be happening, you're creating the very stress you're trying to avoid. The event already happened. Your resistance to it happening is what's killing you. The spiritual path isn't about rearranging the world until it stops hurting you. It's about learning to let life pass through you like weather. When something disturbs you, and it will disturb you, you've got one choice that matters. Relax right then, or spend the next week tangled in it. The energy wants to move through and release. You keep shoving it down, and so it stays, calcifies, becomes the foundation of everything you build. And while you're busy resisting, you're missing the only thing that makes any of this matter. Death's watching your every step. You act like you've got forever, wasting moments on grudges and fears, when any breath could be your last. The wise ones live like they're always on the edge of leaving, and it makes every moment precious. Not morbid, freeing. When you know it's all temporary, you stop defending your little fortress and start actually experiencing life. The middle way, they call it. Not gorging, not starving, not clinging so tight you suffocate, not so distant you disappear. Find that balance point where your energy stops swinging sideways and flows straight through you. That's where the power lives, in the center, where you're not wrestling with extremes. And what's waiting there in that open space? Love. Not the conditional kind you've been taught about, but something vast and unconditional. The kind that looks at this whole messy world and sees only beauty. That's what you're made of. That's what's been there all along underneath your resistance. Stop defending, start living. The infinite's just on the other side of your clenched fists,